Fun fact, I was warned about this comic by two super commenters saying it was god-awful, so I'm excited to read it. And I want to start off by saying I'm well aware there's a lot of hate for this comic, and there's a lot of things I personally dislike, especially the villain. However, there are certain things I do kind of like. But they're always small, and they're always just like one or two panels. But for the most part, I do agree this comic is pretty disappointing. But of course, if you like it, don't let my opinion, of course, ruin that for you. Not only that, but I don't understand why it's considered a Dark Crisis tie-in. It has nothing to do with, except for a couple of lines in an issue 1, they did have them go to the League's funeral. They also did mention in a Flash Dark Crisis tie-in that Bart is at this moment missing. That's really it. There's no connection, no Pariah, no darkness, no really anything. This comic starts with a stare down between Young Justice and Mickey, with Bertrand narrating that he refuses to let this imp hurt the people he loves anymore. Robin starts to form a plan when he blurts out the word Young Justice. Well, words, Young Justice. Only covers his mouth believing that this might be what Mickey wants. Mickey then explains his whole plan was inspired by Pariah, what he did to the League, revealing that they are alive. So I guess that's at least a mention, because personally, I would have actually have liked to see Young Justice to perhaps react to this, learning that the League is alive, they're mentors. But instead, they just brushed it off and say, we'll do that later. When a girl sends up to plate, Mickey goes on to say that girls can't fight and deserve to die. What the hell? This line feels just so disturbing. I understand it's meant to be a commentary on sexism, however, due to the way it's written, it comes across the opposite way. Because instead of coming across as commentary on sexism, it just feels like the writer is being sexist. I know the writer is a girl, but still, it does feel like it's just, I don't know, I just don't like the way it was written. It just doesn't, in my opinion, come across well, especially because the characters object to this. Wonder Girl doesn't defend herself when he says this. No one defends this as being sexist. Instead, they just sit there and listen to Mickey be that way. Which I think is my biggest problem with this commentary, is that no one calls him out on it. So it just comes across like they're saying it's okay to act this way when it's not. Impulse slows down time to talk with Wonder Girl, explaining he has a plan. Here's a part I kind of like, showing how Cassie and Bart have grown, how they're more mature. Of course, I'm grasping at straws because it's only a quick moment, but I want to at least compliment something about this comic because I really don't like trashing on things. Cassie compliments Bart's intelligence, saying that he's a lot smarter than anyone has ever given him credit. Cassie is going to challenge Mickey, which is their plan, as Bart has a secret idea that needs, well, time to do. Bart apologizes for how he treated her back in the old series, which actually wasn't necessarily accurate. While I would argue that yes, Cassie was mistreated in the old stories, it wasn't by the team, but more or less because writers didn't know how to write the character. Also, comes across low-key hypocritical if you think of it, because the last issue when Mickey was implying he wanted to see Cassie's body as emotionless and under his control, which is just so creepy, Bart just sat there and didn't say anything, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. How he didn't call him out, or even Robin, aka Tim Drake, or Superboy did, who supposedly loved her at one point. Anyway, regardless, I will admit I am happy that Bart at least tells Cassie she can make a great leader, which I do agree. I think because she is a warrior, in the literal granddaughter or daughter of Zeus, depending on what continuity you're reading, I think that she would make a fantastic leader. The plan starts when a girl tells Mickey he probably lives in the equivalent of a basement in the 5th dimension. We says he's telling her to hush, but she doesn't, so she keeps on going, asking if he ate veggies for the day. Mickey then attacks them one by one, taking away their powers and skills, with Cassie being the last on except for Impulse, who Mickey doesn't question the location of for some reason. Bart comes out to do his plan to trap him in the Speed Force prison, only for it to fail, with Mickey taking away his powers, promising to break all of them. Superboy's been turned invisible and mute, so he can't even help. But Cassie and Sissy seem to be trying to take their shot to try and fight him. Superboy then narrates how he thought Cassie was helpless when he first met her. Wow, how romantic. Yes, he does say she proved him wrong, but I feel like the way you're trying to write that makes it kind of come across that Superboy is now sexist. Which might not be far off from what he's saying here. I really feel like what he's saying comes across very misogynistic. Which, like I said, is probably not intentional, but it brings Connor in not exactly the best light. Cassie figures out that Connor's invisible when he catches her when she's falling. Cassie then tries mind games of Mickey, telling him that he only took away their powers because with them he knows that he'll lose. which he does in the moment give them back, due to the fact he wants to prove a point. Yeah, that wasn't exactly the smartest idea, because he only took them away because he almost did lose. Now, Impulse, what he was supposed to do before he got his powers taken away, is exactly that. And that is, with the help of Young Justice, traps him in the Speed Force prison. I feel like Mickey was not that intelligent if he fell for that. And the comic ends with them going to help fight in the Hall of Justice. This series, I think Impulse and Wonder Girl come across as the best. Not amazing, but definitely the best of the group. But I think they should have had their arcs tweaked with maybe less of the sexism towards Wonder Girl that, for some unknown reason, no one calls out. But if Wonder Girl or any of the other guys called out Mickey for that, I think it would have made things 100% much better than them sitting there and listening to it. Tim, I think, comes off okay, but his detective skills are very janky, which I think is very out of character for him. Like, he knows things he shouldn't because I don't understand. For example, he just figured out the whole 90s stuff, which I feel as if he probably shouldn't have just figured that out, but doesn't know stuff when it comes to him very obviously. For example, what was going on with Faye Cassie? It was very clear that something was up with her, but he, for some unknown reason, didn't really point it out. Instead, it took him an entire day spending time with her to realize, yeah, this isn't Cassie. Superboy came across very poorly in this entire series, in my opinion. They attempted to make him feel neglected by Superman, which I can understand if he did. He just keeps on outbursting to the wrong person, and I kind of get why Impulse and Cassie feel the way they do, because Connor in this series does treat them extremely poorly, despite the fact that he's saying that it was in the 90s series where he did that. But yet again, it was more or less the writer who didn't know what to do with them. But here, Connor is actually treating them poorly himself, not the writer who just didn't know what to do. Instead, Connor himself is, in my opinion, acting very, very toxic towards his friends and former girlfriend. Arrowette also comes across horrible, unlikable to the max, constantly belittling Wonder Girl, trying to gaslight her to feel sorry for her. It was unbelievable to me when she attempted to play the victim. I liked Arrow in the original series a lot. I loved her story when she retired because she attempted to murder somebody. But this just made me sad to see her completely character assassinated. Like, completely. They retconned the reason why she left to being the fact that she felt like she was being bullied out of the Young Justice, which is completely untrue. She also claims that her and Wonder Girl were the only girls, which was also untrue. Empress and Seeker were also members. Ray Tornado, Hugh here was not unlikable, but he did nothing at all. I really don't get why he was brought in, because he really was just a background character. He didn't really add much. His narration could have been given to really anybody, and it was very generic, which I'm not saying it was bad. It was just very generic, and I think anybody could really have said it. And then there's Mickey. I absolutely hated this character. He was sexist, racist, homophobic, and the definition of a brat. The fact he was stupid enough to give them their powers back was, in my opinion, just ridiculous, considering the fact that he himself was saying that his father is so stupid to always say his name backwards, yet he was stupid enough to give the people what they needed to kill him. Well, not kill him, imprison him, but I wish it killed him. However, I don't blame Cassie for at least trying out that, because they really were out of options. And trying to trick him did, in my opinion, come across like the best option at that moment, even if it was unlikely for it to work. She even seemed surprised when it worked, like, oh, he really fell for that? It really just makes Mickey come across as even worse of a character than he already was. And that's my own opinion, of course, and you can, of course, disagree with that. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Bye.